it says on the last sentence, or to take any other action thereon, or to do or act in any manner relative thereto. That is probably considered legalese by some, but it's very important for town meeting because that gives us all the opportunity to make the appropriate motion before the town meeting at the time that we get to town meeting. So that's the answer to your question, sir. Now, would you like to answer the second part?
Yes, if I may. Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Through you to the last speaker. What I said was that there is no cost, additional cost to the taxpayers in this town because you've already voted to raise money for community preservation purposes. We have to spend part of that money on affordable housing. So therefore, the money is already sitting there. It's not additional funds that are coming out of anybody's pocket. You've already voted when you accepted the Community Preservation Act to put 3% aside every year, and a certain portion of that has to be spent on affordable housing by law. This is affordable housing. The second part of my explanation for that is basically that $500,000 is going to come back to us. So we're investing that $500,000 only after every other piece of the financial puzzle is in place. We don't have to put anything up front. If the rest of the financial puzzle falls apart, the CPC money never goes anywhere. And once it does go somewhere, that's part of the return on our investment. In the first 3 years, at $175,000 a year, as Mr. Savageau explained, that $500,000 will be coming back to you. So it's a put it in, get it back, and it's what the money was supposed to be used for in the first place. So we haven't spent a dime of our CPC funds since we adopted it 5 years ago on affordable housing. So I appreciate it if you'd all take that into consideration. Thank you.
Before I recognize the next speaker, Mr. Heaton had requested the privilege to use the remainder of his time to respond to some of the issues that have been raised. So, Mr. Heaton, you have the microphone.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
Mr. Heaton, you have the microphone.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Just a couple points. The point on whether these units are affordable, there are obviously two very important definitions. One I call the golden rule. The person with the gold rules, in this case, the person who has the $25 to $45 million is the federal and state governments. They determined that these projects are eligible for that money because they are affordable. The more important rule is what you as a community would like to do. You may not consider $1,000 a month for a 1 or 2 bedroom unit as affordable. You have the choice to pick the 2 proposals that have rents below $500. That's your option. The second point is Agawam Village. I strongly suggest that you continue working with the Agawam Village group, and I see Pam's at the microphone, to continue supporting this project and get funding for it. I feel so strongly that I have volunteered my time to work with the Wareham Housing Authority to help them get to the point they're at. What they have found out in the last week is the landlord, DHCD, has determined that it's going to take $6 million to upgrade Agawam Village and Redwood Park. $3.2 million for Agawam Village, $2.8 million for Redwood. That's $6 million that cannot come out of the funds for Westfield. Westfield is governed by the government subsidies that it's provided for, and those funds must go for. On the other hand, Governor Patrick is floating a bond bill for $86 million where he's going to select, with DHCD, is going to select the projects that get funded under that $86 million. It's our option, your option, to put pressure on politicians and DHCD to bring those funds to Wareham. DHCD is the landlord of that site. They have a responsibility to you and to the residents to bring that site up to code. The other point, that's all. Those are the only points I'd make. Thank you.
Lady to my right.
That's me? Okay.
I'm Melissa Carrera. I'm the Executive Director of the Wareham Housing Authority.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that? Some folks can't hear you. Get
Good
up
evening.
close and personal.
My name is Pam Sequeira, and I'm the Executive Director of the Wareham Housing Authority. This is exciting times for the town. I have been the director for 20 years at the Wareham Housing Authority. We have a time to shape the housing in Wareham. I like to take the opportunity to have us all look at every proposal that comes for us so that we can make some educated and profitable decisions towards the housing stock. At this time, I look forward to going ahead with the monies that are going to be available to rehab the Agawam Village and complete the work that's being done at the Redwood Park. At this time, if anyone wants to talk about the present stock, I'm at my office at any time. Give me a call, and let's move forward with housing for Wareham. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please. Lady to my, I had lady to my right. Did somebody sit down? Gentleman to my right.
How come?
Carl St. Pierre, 23 Carissa Road. Why are we giving away town land with no consideration from the developer for a 99-year lease wherein the development on site will be paid off in 20 years or less? What are we getting out of it? 2, how many people in the town of Wareham with the existing income level are going to qualify or have the opportunity to rent one of these units because they can afford it or they can't afford it? And 3, I think that the very first thing that we should be doing by this body is to clarify the issue of the deed. We shouldn't be moving forward and developing a piece of property until the use of that property is clarified and understood by everybody in this hall. Thank you.
FinCom member. Oh, I'm sorry. To answer the question.
The deed for this property is on your website. It has been distributed to all the developers. Everybody has commented on it. It has been used in multiple cities throughout the Commonwealth. It is generally accepted as a deed that protects the rights of a community. And yes, it's something that's important for you to understand. It's about 35 pages long. I would suggest it's something that would be done in the next phase of the project as the evaluation committee looks at the overall project and looks at what's being proposed.
Mr. Moderator?
Hold on. Do you raise to answer a question, ma'am?
I've been waiting.
Okay. You're on my list.
Okay.
May I ask, with your permission and the body's, could we have town council address this issue just to expedite the matter? It seems to be coming up over and over. And
Well, that seems appropriate. If council wishes to answer the question. Council?
Thank you. Mr. Moderator, through you to the previous speaker in the meeting, the history of the parcel is as follows. It was originally donated to the town in 1977. After its donation, a title defect was found in it. So what the town meeting did at the time was to do a confirmatory taking of the property to cure the title defect, and that's a fairly common approach. The vote of the town meeting at the time was for general municipal purposes. Subsequent to the 1977 town meeting vote for general municipal purposes, the Board of Selectmen recorded an order of taking that was somewhat narrower in scope, and people have pointed to educational and recreational matters being put in that order of taking. So the question is, for purposes of triggering the statutes, Chapter 40, Section 15 and 15A, I think those are the operative ones, what do you look at? Do you look at the language in the deed, or do you look at the language of the town meeting vote? The answer is that you look at the language of the town meeting vote. That's what controls. And what the town meeting voted was general municipal purposes, and it's our opinion that the use of the property for this purpose, the proposed purpose, of course subject to your approval, is a general municipal purpose. And so that this action would be consistent with the action that the town meeting took back in